Well, hi everybody, Hellcracks here, and welcome to another discussion video. Alright, today we're going to be talking about the SRM and the LRM of the 3025 era for the Inner Sphere. Now, it's like we always love what the clans can do because they have all these nice, wonderful toys. Where do they get them all? But here you're sitting in your Inner Sphere and you're looking at it and you're playing, let's say, the Succession Wars and all that fun stuff. And you have some choices here. Do you prefer to use LRMs and maybe some energy weapons backing them up, or do you prefer to use, like I say, a PPC backed up with a bunch of SRMs to do some, decent damage? Because you look at, let's say, an LRM 5, it has a cost of, say, 3 tons because you got to have at least 1 ton of ammo to be able to use it. It's not necessarily a hard-hitting weapon at all, but it has potential to do the same amount of damage as a AC-5, which, weighs a lot compared to the LRM-5. You get the same, you get better range with it, and you do have the potential of doing 5 damage versus, but typically you're going to do 3. But, that's here nor there. Is it more, I always look at, like, say the LRM is more 5 is like a harassment type weapon. It's like it reaches out there and says, hello, I'm over here. And if you throw an extra ton in there, you can start laying down minor smoke barrages and stuff like that. But when it comes to a choice between the two, I guess I'm always in the camp where I'd rather have an LRM over the SRM and back up my LRM with some energy weapons, because if I'm doing stuff at short range, personally I'd rather have packing in at least 4 medium lasers, because you typically 4 medium lasers are going to be doing 12 heat with, but you can do 20 points of damage equivalent of that same the AC-20, but more bang for your buck. So if I had a choice, I'm always like, I'm going to go with the LRM because it's versatile. I always look at the LRM as more of a versatile system because you can do indirect fire with it, you can do direct fire with it, but you always have that minimum range problem, with 6 hexes and less. So you got to have that sweet spot of 7, which hardly ever going to find in the game. So typically I find them always going to be, if it's something close, you're going to have that minimum range, but you're going to have that, hopefully, flop out with the, your backup weapon systems. And typically, a lot of people would prefer the backup systems be SRMs. And I can understand that because an SRM can do a lot of good damage. I always like to look at the SRM as your crit hunter. Hit somebody, especially if you're running with an SRM 6, you get 6 chances. If you get all 6 to hit, you got 6 chances to do some, a good chance of critical there. It could be that random one floating around someplace, or it could do that head hit. It's only 2 points damage. It's nothing to write home about, but it's one of those systems that you're backing it up. It's like you're scraping a bunch of armor off somebody, and it's like you're searching for that lucky. Say, all right, I got a hit, and here's a boxcars, or here's snake eyes. There's a floating crit going someplace, or there's a headshot and potential. And I've had it happen to me, and I've done it to other people. Hit somebody with an SRM 6 and 2-point shot. To the head. They take a pilot check, and sleepy time. So it's one of those things. It's one of those great weapon systems that if you're backing yourself up with it, and it can do wonders for you. But my question is, do you prefer to have an LRM or the SRM system? Now, personally, the other question is, of the LRMs, which one do you prefer the most? Of the 5, 10, 15, or 20, or is it the SRM 2, 4, or 6? If you have the tons and you can throw one on, what are you going to do with it? which one would you, if you had one to put on a mech, is it the SRM or the LRM? Personally, me, if I had a choice of an LRM, I always like to go with the LRM 15 because you're looking at 8 tons or 9 tons. You're looking at the same amount of tonnage it would roughly putting on an AC5, and you're doing more damage with that LRM than you would with the AC5. So if I had my druthers, I would go with, if I have to do something that's like that, I would go the LRM 15. And if I have, you're looking at some of these mechs like Javelin, Commando, which, they're running around with the SRMs. Which one would you rather have? It's like I see a purpose in the 2. If you're loading up with a load of infernal missiles or some smoke, or both of them, cook somebody, cook some infantry, whatever. Then you got the SRM4. It's basically, to me, an SRM4 is kind of just a, it's like, here you go, afterthought. I'll hit you, and hopefully maybe 3 missiles hit, and I'm going to do a little crit hunting. SRM6 is a different boat, and in my opinion, that's one of those weapon systems. If you can have the 4 tons, you throw it out there, it's going to do some good damage, and you have a better chance of have that floating crit pop up someplace. So my choice is LRM 15 or an SRM 6. And the SRM 2 is kind of a backup weapon to me, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts? What would you go with? And how would you rate the systems in your mind? And which one would you prefer to have as a backup or your primary? All right. We'll talk to you later. Hellcorrects out.